Your marriage not turning out to be the story you signed on for? Well, you're not alone, and you've come to the right place. Just keep an open mind. Don't be squeamish or shy. Get ready to get raw and real. Raw marriage begins in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Zev Halpern, and welcome to the Raw Marriage Show, and thanks for joining us. So before we start, try to leave the stress behind you for a half hour. Remember, you were playful and curious, needless to say, even hot for each other. So come on, do this with me, help yourself. I want you to take all that stress and disappointment that marriage throws our way sometimes and put it all in this catapult. And let's send it flying. Ready, set, wow! Who knew? Catapults as a stress reliever. We're talking about marriage from every angle. Nothing's off limits and nothing is taboo. And if we've missed something, please email us and let us know. We have a super show lineup. Tara and Mick Carbo are unplugged about the language of love in the Marriage Pulse. The It Takes Two players are here, and Rebecca Norris, integrative holistic practitioner, is in the Sexpectation segment. And we'll be talking Tantra and increasing your connection and sexual bliss from 0 to warp speed. On a personal note, yours truly was asked to write a chapter with 8 other authors in a new book called The Courage To, coming out very soon, details on the way. In this book, I discuss, among other things, stepping up to do this show and more. So please, sit back, chillax, put aside the no way, no how attitude. Step back from your relationship and be encouraged while you try on some new ways and means to refresh, rekindle, and recharge your marriage. Here's today's raw marriage coaching perspective for your consideration. Do you spend time wishing your spouse would do certain things for you? Are they special requests or are they mundane and ordinary? Do you daydream or even fantasize about some special handling you really need from your spouse? You know what I mean. Do you just want some help, some collaboration, some overture that shows that you, he or she, is in this with you and willing to do their part? Is that so much to ask of a spouse? Well, it begs the question of why don't you communicate your requests and needs to your partner? Are you scared? You may have a legitimate reason for being so. Is your spouse just not approachable or askable? For many marriages, this is the status quo day after day, year after year. Afraid to ask, tired of asking, or just wanting a partner that reaches out and in to accommodate your needs, wants, and desires. Many people in these types of marital situations begin to believe this is just the way it's supposed to be. They believe marriage is a sacrifice, and because loneliness scares the hell out of them more than the current state of their marriage, they just chalk it up and exist. You can go your whole life this way, waiting and waiting some more for something that will not necessarily change on its own. Or you can muster a way to change the variables of your relationship by finding a way to change the posture of your relationship. To accomplish this, you got to shake it up a bit. You have to take some calculated risks. You have to be a bit bold and courageous. You can do it. If it's her and him, you can find a way to get that message across. The posture and politics of marriage can work to get you what you want and need and deserve. If you do nothing, you'll get absolutely nothing, and your life will be left to reading about relationships that you envy rather than being in a marriage that others truly envy. By the way, we all resort to doing nothing because it's easier. But in the long haul of married life, you could be doomed to a life of standing at the wishing well, hoping for the goodies you signed on for. So get your marital posturing and politics moving in your favor, because you both will be the beneficiaries of your courageous action by setting the stage for a mutually happier and rewarding marriage. Be right back with Mick and Tara Carbo in the Marriage Pulse. But first, here's the It Takes Two players.
So, honey, I want to talk to you about something, and I don't know exactly how to bring it up, so I got a little something to help me out here. So, you know, when we're together.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you can be a little vocal.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Well, I'd like it if maybe you could say a little more in there, maybe even some specific things.
What do you have in mind?
Well, okay. I know it's kind of hard to bring it up right now. And
yeah.
We're just sitting around here, but that's why I got this. So okay. So let's say. So for example, when I'm touching you, you can tell me how you'd like me to touch you.
Okay. I think I can handle that.
And then maybe, even, now I know this is kind of strong to say things along these lines, but it's us, and it's just us in the room, and no one else has to hear.
Yeah, I think I could do that for you.
Saying you love your spouse is not always the same as showing them in the language they understand, which speaks directly to them and what they really need. You bring her flowers or stuffed animals. She wants your presence and participation in the marriage. Sometimes it's material gifts that get your spouse's juices flowing, and sometimes it's your help and support that says, I love you. Getting it right has huge benefits. Sometimes like a bit of romp and roll when you lost hope of getting any at all. So let's knock on the Carbo's door and see what's going on with them today. Hey, Mick, how are you?
I'm doing well, Zev.
Hey,
Thanks.
Tara.
How are you?
Hello.
And happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Love it. Thank you so much.
So how does the love language work at the Carbos?
Yeah, so this was a tricky one for me. It took me a long time to figure out because I love giving gifts, and that has always made me feel like I'm really showing the other person. So when Mick and I were younger, I would always make gifts, buy gifts, and give them to him, and he doesn't care about gifts, and so the message wasn't getting across. It took me a long time to figure it out. Yeah.
How about you, Mick?
Yeah. So in that instance, it wasn't really so much that I didn't care about the gifts. It just didn't do that thing for me, right? Like it didn't get me excited and make me happy, and I just didn't really get it. So I kind of related to it as like a waste almost. Like, hey, why are you going off and spending time and energy and money on things for me, and I really don't need it or want it. And then I kind of felt like obligated to reciprocate and get something for her, and it just didn't make sense to me. So yeah, Tara and I kind of discovered this the hard way over time, and and really started learning about this thing called, languages of love and how to really communicate well with each other until we were able to figure out how it worked.
A lot of people, they're on the appeasement program. They're trying to appease and they're trying to do that. I mean, I think it's hard. This is a hard one because of TV and because of movies and because bring her flowers.
And I hate fresh cut flowers.
And, even bring her that big, giant, huge teddy bear. I'm not sure what they do with that teddy bear. I have some questions about that teddy bear. What do you think? Why is it so hard for them to get? Even when I tell them, they still don't get it. They bring flowers. And she wants vacuuming. She wants him to do something else, and he wants her to do something. Why do you think it's so hard? Do you think it's role modeling? Do you think people grow up? We grow up thinking, well, what do you think?
Yeah, it's weird. I guess, I guess people never thought the concept of, what does the other person feel like they need to feel appreciated and to feel loved, and it's always, what media says I'm supposed to do. I mean, I'm in the grocery, I live 2 minutes from my grocery store, so I'm in and out, at least every day. And I always see, around 5:30, guys coming through the self-check with flowers, and I'm like, oh, whatever. That's so lame.
What did they do wrong?
Right. Yeah, and it's for me, it's not from, fresh cut flowers means, I don't give a shit.
Toilet paper, milk, and they got those flowers, right? And they're in the cart, and they're wearing this kind of weird smile.
Almost oops, I forgot something, and it's an afterthought, and I don't like it.
Or maybe they even have some guilty look.
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen hey, I'm looking at you.
Most of the time, yeah.
You got some kind of guilty look.
Yeah.
So what do other people, you've talked to some other people, what do they say? What do you hear them say about this language of love and how that all works?
Yeah, so I feel like the women I talk to are really looking for acts of kindness. If we could just see more stuff done, even making your half of the bed or running the vacuum real quick or emptying the dishwasher or whatever says a lot more than the guys think it's saying, and they're not even thinking of it. And the guys, a physical touch is going to be a classic there. And then maybe I know a lot of guys who like gifts too. But I think what's not happening is them getting clear on it with each other.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've seen, in my self-discovery and also in talking with other people, especially for men. Men are conditioned, I think, culturally, in a lot of cases, to not ask for what they need. A lot of the times, we're not even really clear on what we need, and to have a need to begin with is looked upon, I think, by society a lot of the times and by us personally as a weakness. And I've discovered, again, in myself and with talking to other people, that it's really not. We really need to get clear on what we need and be able to ask for what we need, or else we're just not going to get it. And then there's going to be conflict and, disagreement in the space.
And I think, too, I don't know if it's all women, but my mom says that I should do this, so it must be at least my family, but that men are not mind readers. And often, for some reason, women think that you guys are. So, yeah, definitely communicating. And for me, I feel if I have to, ask you, it would be really great if you made decide of your bed and it would, mean a lot to me, then it's, I don't know, so I feel like something gets lost in me having to, request it.
Maybe you got to wear a crystal ball around your neck, or something like. Don't you know what I want by now after this?
That would be very helpful. We should invest in a crystal ball.
I think we should do that crystal ball for men.
Yes.
Crystal ball for women here. This will tell you
what
you really
patent pending.
Finally need.
Nobody take that idea. That's our idea.
So the truth is that we get married and we were together, and it's almost like we live in different countries. We're speaking a different language. What language is that? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Am I thick? Or where did you get that from? So what do you think about that? Two countries. Have you ever seen some people who you just know, these people, they're just not on the same wavelength at all?
I mean, the translation for me, when I would spend this time and make gift baskets and do cool things and make whatever elaborate thing I put together and presented this awesome gift to him, and he was like, okay, cool, thanks. like, my translation of that was, I don't love you, I'm not giving you the time to show you my appreciation, like, this means nothing to me. And he didn't mean anything, but that's what I interpreted his response to mean. So it's definitely like two ships passing in the night because you're not speaking the same language.
Yeah, it's Tara do crafts lady.
Right.
You know, like Mick's looking
And
at
Mick
you
sees
like,
it like, she just wasted $45, thanks.
don't you like to chase some people sometimes, like when they go into their house? I'm not so sure we want to go into some houses. They're a little scary. But if you did, like the guys that you see with the flowers, or the, you know, when we walk in, to see what it really does, you know, that it would be something like you just described, that you spent. You know, some people say it's the thought that counts. But it might be the thought that counts, but the truth is that people have needs.
It doesn't fill their cup. It doesn't, like, quench that thirst.
And so how do you get it? What's the real deal? How does a couple get what they really need? Because so many aren't. So how do you do it? Any ideas? I mean, I think it starts, you know, with your mouth and ends with your mouth somehow. I mean,
absolutely. Well, the first thing is, like, what I would recommend is for people to not do it alone, right? We a lot of the times need some help to get clear on that. Actually, you know, as a matter of fact, with you, Zev, like, this is a really great thing about you and what you do for people as a marriage counselor and a marriage coach. You talking to somebody like you could help a person get really clear on what they need and how to ask for it in a way that can actually get that need met, and also create an opening to reciprocate for the partner, right? And look, it doesn't have to be from a counselor or from a coach. It could be from reading books. There's a ton of great literature out there. The good old Google probably has lots of answers.
So basically, use your mouth,
and
listen to what somebody's really saying, and we'll all be good.
Absolutely.
Thank you both. Thanks, Tara.
Sure.
Thanks, Mick, as usual. Thanks so much. So let us know, what's the language of love is in your marriage? We want to hear about your experiences with communicating love in your marriage. Sexpectations coming right up. Welcome back. So, want to know how you can change up your emotional and physical intimacy? We're fortunate tonight to have Rebecca Norris in the studio. Rebecca Norris is a licensed clinical professional counselor and an integrative holistic practitioner. She specializes in energy work and energy medicine. Rebecca works with individuals, couples, and families. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank
Rebecca.
you for inviting me.
Tell me a little bit about how tantric energy work. How's it work? Well, what do people come in for? What do they leave with?
Okay, so tantric energy work is over 5,000 years old. You can do it individually or with couples, but we're focusing on couples, so I'll talk about that. And it's getting to know about each other in an intimate way, where you have more awareness of each other in a spiritual sense. It's to overcome any blocks or fears or rejections or anger within the marriage.
What are the blocks? What blocks are you talking about?
So what I've learned is petty stuff comes from big blocks, like you didn't pick up the towels or you didn't wash the dishes. When you learn to connect on an intimate level and really get into the core of what's going on, such as, I know I hate men, or you're going to hurt me. Once you get through that, which Tantra is very good at, then that little stuff doesn't matter anymore.
So basically you're saying they're messages, we have them in our heads.
Oh,
They're
yes.
playing 24 hours a day, so, 365.
Yes.
You block, it blocks your ability to connect.
Definitely.
And so what your work is, it brings people.
Yeah, let's learn that we're not trying to hurt one another, that we can trust each other on the deepest level that you can imagine, so that we can trust that our true intent is to really help and be with one another and to love each other.
And just to get in that moment is
Yes.
very difficult with the busyness and the role models that we've had in our lives and all that. It's hard to get to that moment of connection.
Yes.
So this work gets you
Yes.
to there. Finally, I'm sure some spouses feel, Finally, we're here. We're going to make a connection. So you described that you could have primal sex, 1 hour orgasms. For people, they haven't been with each other for years and years. Amazing. You know, we were talking about that on the phone. I found that amazing. How's that work?
So I would say it's not. I think regular sex is more primitive, more primal. But when you get, even if you haven't had sex in, let's say, years, or you just meet each other and you connect on that, people will say, "Wow, I really had chemistry with that person." And you're sitting in front of each other or beside each other, or you maybe, you know, laying in the bed or whatever position you're in, your energies start to communicate, and they start doing all the talking for you, for each other, and it's just like a rhythm that one another gets. And the orgasm, you can't really explain it. It's not a typical orgasm. So when you read Tantra, it'll say Tantra's not about the orgasm, but Tantra is a very powerful, prolonged orgasm that can last 4 hours just while being with each other. It's like a lot of girls will be like, "Oh, just get it, you know, can't wait to get this over with, you know, let's just, you know, fake this orgasm," which is one of the worst things you can do.
Well, which happens a lot.
Oh, yes, definitely. But this is actual enjoyment for both the man and the woman.
So, I mean, are they lined up outside your door around the block? I mean, after this, I mean, they might be tuned into this and go, I think we need to go, you know, find out about this Tantra and 4 hour orgasm.
Oh, yes,
I mean,
it makes you very happy.
Amazing. So even a couple that's distanced, I mean, how do you find that connection? You know, I mean, couples therapy. You know, I've seen some people have, you know, they are yearning, you know, for a connection. How do you get that connection?
Okay, so as you know, couples therapy can be a tirade of screaming for a very long period of time. But, you know, I just stop them. So I'm like, stop. And I, first of all, make them get near each other and look at each other. Don't talk. Just get near each other and look at each other. Hold hands, you know, if they're not too angry at that point. But what do you remember about each other's energy that you first liked? And another thing I always ask them is, how can you tell your wife's energy from another woman or your husband's energy from another woman? I mean, that's a valid question, and everybody comes up with an answer. So then when they're sitting near each other or facing each other and they're holding hands, I have them close their eyes and relax and take a few deep breaths, and then I have them start to recognize each other's energies and what they love about it.
So a lot of people, you know, they have fantasies. You know, we see people every day. People see people every day. They fantasize about them. They're tired of their marriages. They're pissed off, you know, at each other. That energy of desire or fantasy versus the energy you're talking about, the energy that somebody goes back and remembers, you know, the intimate memories or the intimate times. How's that go? Just give us an example. I mean, how's it look when that happens? You're amazing. People are yelling. You give them the big stop, the big red stop button. And how do you get them to get there?
Instead of like desiring somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, because that's
porno, magazines, you know, all that stuff.
That's a very short-lived, you know, just fast satisfaction. So it's that feeling of the true intimacy, which, you know, some people really don't have that. But the people who do have that true intimacy, you work on that, and when you make them realize like how much they love each other and how they can communicate with each other through their energies, and what makes that sacred. The word I have to use is sacred. What makes that sacred? Then there's no comparison. You don't want to be with anybody else.
Talk a little bit more about sacred. A little bit about that sacred time, that moment.
Well, every orgasm, believe it or not, is, people think that, you know, if you read about orgasms, it says it's primal to co-creating, but orgasms are actually getting closer to Creator, God, universe, whatever. So when you find that sacred union with somebody, and you're realizing that you are growing on that with each and every sexual experience, or with each and every experience, it's a, I don't like to use the word addictive for this, but it's something you don't want to get away from. You're going to love that person forever. That's unconditional love.
So you put them on that path. They're on different tracks, the train tracks going every which way but to each other, and you get them in that, on the red line, the 2-yard line. You get them to, and what do they say to you? What do they say when that that happens?
At first, they're usually they're shocked. They're very appreciative. Very appreciative. There's a lot of emotions that come out. Like I said, a lot of blocks do come out and resentments, and we work through all that. Very happy, and it helps with men who are impotent, because they realize that their impotence comes from something so different, and they know that they can perform in the way that their wives, love them.
Again, they must be thankful. I mean, I think
Yes.
they probably get down on their knees and pray to you, Rebecca, for
I don't think to me.
for bringing them to this moment that they've just on day after day, the status quo of marriage and how that works, and all of a sudden they're made aware of this amazing thing. Does anybody ever say kooky? This is kooky, and they just kind of get pissed off at their spouse and leave, or do they?
Well, I take them where they come in. Like, some people come in and be like, I want to learn Tantra. Other people will come in just fighting, but I do it so delicately. I'm just like, sit next to each other. What's her energy feel like? And then I take them on the level where they are, in step by step. I even do the technique where, if you want to talk about chakras, for instance, you're made of energy. So let's pretend we're unzipping your body, and you feel your energy expand. It's connecting with your wife's energy, and I'll do like a relaxation. They usually go for that. Now, imagine your energy going into your wife's energy, and your wife's energy going into yours. What's that feel like? And they
So
always
that's
have a reaction, yeah.
Well, it's fantastic, and look, I want to thank you so much for coming in tonight, Rebecca, to explain that,
You're
because I'm
welcome.
sure there are people who really need to hear that and are curious and about this mysterious orgasm and finding something that they've been looking for. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have tonight. Stay tuned for more Raw Marriage coming your way in months ahead. Please join the dialogue. Send in questions and comments. First name and town only. Zev at zevhalpern.com. To connect with Mick and Tara Carbo, check out their website and emails. Here's how to connect with Rebecca Norris. To find out more about the It Takes Two Players, contact Chris Pennick. Here's where to find me at rechargeyourmarriagenow.com. I invite you to find out more about me, and please download some great freebies while you're visiting. Recharge your marriage now. Enrich your marital communication skills. Reconnect for a deeper, more fulfilling relationship. Spice up that marriage and feel the love again. Like my Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, tune in to the Raw Marriage Podcast, which you can download free from iTunes. And finally, try some forgiveness if you can. Hug, kiss, touch, talk, cuddle, get out more, laugh a little. Say you're sorry sometimes. You can do it. Remember, we are our mistakes and our successes. So it's okay. We're only human. You can try again. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zev Halpern. See you next time for the Raw Marriage Show.